Hi everyone, welcome to our post-game report here with HouseOfSparky.com after the Sun Devils, probably not to anyone's surprise, losing to the number 13 Utah Utes here this evening at Sun Devil Stadium, 34-13. Kevin Redfern, I'm Matt Venezia. We have a little bit to discuss post-game, and to start first, to keep it positive, Kevin, obviously Sean Aguano, the interim head coach, making his first career head coaching appearance here this evening against Utah. A couple things stood out to us. We had, instead of the captains going out solo, everyone locking arms, including Aguano, for the pregame entrance, taking the field all together. That was pretty interesting. And overall, it seemed like the atmosphere at the beginning of the game, Kevin, pretty packed compared to what we're normally used to seeing here at Sun Devil Stadium. What did you make of these adjustments that may not seem that big for the overall performance of the game, but obviously took notice?
Yeah, well, Aguano did tell us in his introductory press conference as interim head coach Monday that there was going to be subtle changes, not drastic changes. And that's exactly what we saw here tonight. A couple of things, pre-game, program-based traditions that we're seeing changed around, as well as a couple minor little depth chart tweaks. I think about Charles Hall getting moved from Z to X at receiver, and then some rotations on the defensive line. So again, minor things, but changes nonetheless.
Absolutely, and now to talk a little bit about the game. The most notable offensive statistic to compare both the Utes and the Sun Devils was the rushing attack. The Utes ran for over 200 yards today between 5 different backs and a mobile quarterback in Cameron Rising, while the Sun Devils, with a mobile quarterback in Emory Jones and a couple talented backs, only acquired 6. So obviously that's something that definitely led to the outburst of a 21-point win for the Utes. So, Kevin, what do you make of that, and what do you think led to those differences and why the Utes were able to run so well and the Sun Devils not so much?
It looked promising for a second. The defense looked like they were going to hold Utah to maybe a little bit less than Eastern Michigan last week with over 300 combined rushing yards. ASU went into halftime only allowing something like 73 or 75 rushing yards to Utah tonight, but they just couldn't get off the field. It was the third down bug again. Third and longs, Cameron Rising completed a few of those. They were able to convert. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be about putting together a fourth quarter performance on defense at all 3 levels.
Absolutely, and we heard from Nesta Jade Silvera, defensive lineman for the Sun Devils, and he said it was just about execution. They felt that they had the best practice of the season this week with Coach Aguano. Again, those changes and being the new guy leading it all. But now to talk a little bit about Emory Jones and his performance. It was pretty notable with his 2 interceptions and his ability of getting sacked. He talked about how the protection could have been a little bit better, but overall, probably not the best we've seen from number 5 when it comes to ASU's quarterback, and 2 picks today were pretty notable. But what do you make of the Sun Devils quarterback performance here tonight?
Yeah, those were the first 2 interceptions of the year for Emory Jones. It didn't look great tonight, I will say. We'd kind of given Jones the benefit of the doubt over the first 3 games. Oh, he doesn't get great protection here. The running game tonight wasn't really complimentary. But the question remains, who steps up in this situation? Because there's going to have to be an offensive individual performance that gives the team a jolt. You'd think that comes from the quarterback in a situation when they're down. But up against the wall, Jones really struggled today. They'd like to see him use his legs a little bit more, especially when he's facing that pressure. But at the end of the day, he missed a couple of throws. His second interception could have been a touchdown pass had he put it in the right spot. A lot to improve on from the new number 5.
Absolutely, and you know, the whole team kind of talked about it a little bit, and we touched on it a second ago. ASU was playing from behind the chains today a lot. Third downs were a problem, allowing Utah to really flip the field whenever they wanted to. A lot of punts from the Sun Devils today. Can that happen? Obviously not, but can that happen against a team like Utah that is the defending champs of the Pac-12, and what adjustments can be made before you go to USC next week?
A lot has to be done, and Coach Aguano says it starts with him. In reality, it's going to take a much more well-rounded approach with this team. It's going to take a lot to beat USC. This Utah team is very much on par with USC in terms of talent. They're both up there in the national rankings, but it's going to start at the line of scrimmage. The defensive line getting back to their patterns of winning the snaps off the ball, and then on the flip side with the offensive line, consistently protecting their quarterback and delivering the blow in the run game.
So after the opening night win of 40-3 against NAU, the Sun Devils have now dropped 3 straight, the first being tonight of conference play. And we just said it a second ago, a trip to the Coliseum in LA next week await the Sun Devils to take on the USC Trojans. big team to talk about, obviously, with everything they've done in the offseason with Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, so many others coming over there to, from Oklahoma. Obviously, they're a big talk of the town at the national level. They are a national champion favorite up to this point. They just got by Oregon State, a late comeback effort there by the Trojans. But nonetheless, what do you expect needs to be done, and how can the Sun Devils go into the Coliseum and, surprise everybody with a win?
I think it's going to have to take a hot start for the Sun Devils. We've seen them come out pretty slowly here in the opening quarter in all 4 games this season. If they want to get out ahead of USC and really match them punch for punch, it'll probably take a score on one of their opening drives. And then after that, sustained success. Getting creative, finding ways to get your specialty players the ball in space, and then defensively keeping those rotations strong, staying energized, and really, controlling the line of scrimmage.
If nothing else, there's some promise that this is a work in progress from Coach Sean Aguano, saying that a miracle was not going to happen in 4 days from the first day of practice that he took over to now this Saturday night contest. But yes, USC next week. Both Kevin and myself will be there covering for HouseOfSparky.com, so you will have coverage of that to break down and get you ready for the big matchup in the Coliseum. But for now, here on this Saturday evening in Tempe from Sun Devil Stadium, this has been Kevin Redfern, and I'm Matt Venezia, and we say so long, and we'll see you next week in LA.